Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Ask Me Anything sessions at GitHub Externship. So we have Mr. Jubin Mehta and Ms. Pooja Patel from LogiNext Solutions. Welcome, Jubin. Welcome, Pooja.
Thank you, Puneet.
Thank you for having us, Puneet.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us your support at GitHub Externship. We are extremely grateful to you, both of you. And now this session is more about kind of an ask me anything. There are lot more questions are from the students. They just wanted to understand from the business side of Loginx solutions and the technology perspective. Uh, so let's go with the same. So before that, I just wanted to request both of you if you could introduce yourself first and then about the organization.
Sure,
So,
Pooja, you go first. Ladies first.
yeah.
Thank you, Jobin. Hello, everyone. My name is Pooja Patel. I'm VP Delivery, Product Delivery at LogiNext. So primarily, my role focuses more on building products and delivering it to the customers in a very, very simplest manners. And when I say products, it means that how the customers actually use the platform, what are the features they use, how they would actually interact with not only their internal systems but also with their end users in the logistics space. So that is a very brief introduction about myself. I have been working on products for like over 12 years now. I started with a business analyst role, and then from there I've gone up the rung to be leading product teams. And very happy to be here, Puneet, and I'm very happy to be associated with GitHub and excited to see what students come up here.
So that's great. That's really wonderful. We got to know about like you have started as an analyst and there is a lot more learning from you in this sessions as well. Now, Jubin, the stage is
Yep.
yours.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Puneet. So hello, everyone. My name is Jubin, and so I used to be a startup journalist earlier for close to like 8 to 9 years. And the last couple of years, I have taken up this role of a bunch of things. So I handle content, communications, you can say a lot of non-tech things at Loginext. And I'll most of the session will be like Pooja will be fielding your questions, but so here I'll take some time and maybe explain what Loginex does and give you an overview of how it is structured, what we do. So Loginex was started back in 2014 by Dhruval and Manisha. They were both with IBM and Deloitte, and they were analysts in the logistics space, and during their experiences in the West, mainly in the US, working at these companies, they realized that there are lots of automation and technology infusion that can happen in the entire logistics space. So that's how the seed was born, and they were at Carnegie Mellon, and then they started out with a pilot. They came back to India, and uh, there was a pilot happening in India, and there was a pilot also happening with UPS in the US. And basically, the entire idea was to how can one digitize, optimize, and automate the entire logistics. So any enterprise moving anything from one part of the globe to another, uh, there'll be like three legs to this, and last mile deliveries is, as consumers, is something we are very used to, like ordering on e-commerce, food delivery apps, and all of these things. So Loginext comes in all the 3 miles, for B2B fulfillment, as well as the middle mile and the last mile deliveries as well. So that's what the product does. Loginext Mile it's a SaaS product, software as a service, and we operate in a bunch of segments. The four major ones being CEP, which is the courier, express, and parcel space. We work with some of the largest postal networks like Singapore Post, Saudi Post. QSR chains is another big industry. McDonald's is a client in several countries. Then we work with retail and e-commerce firms, Myntra and Paytm here, and Trader Joe's and a bunch of other in the US. And one is a transport sector, which is like 3PLs, any large logistics firm which has a fleet of trucks or any such fleet. So Loginext as a platform helps enterprises to basically have complete visibility and tracking of all of these things. So this is in broad overview. We are a 200 plus member team headquartered in New York, engineering office in Bombay, and there are small offices in Singapore and Jakarta. So that's so you can, any questions that are there on this side, happy to take, and for everything tech and the projects that are being led, Pooja will take out. So I hope that serves as a introduction.
Thank you, Joven, for the detailed introduction about the company,
Yeah.
LogiNext Solutions. Pooja, now the next question is for you. Like, Joven has already covered the business part of the company, and I just wanted to ask you questions. What are the technologies? What are the tech stack that you are using to solve the last mile delivery or the logistics solutions for us?
So we've completely built our product ground up, using Java primarily, and then we use a bunch of, um, very new technologies. Especially so if you look at the way our entire system is built, it is built on the basis of microservice. Everything is driven by APIs. So it really doesn't matter what your underlying technology is, as long as we're able to service APIs. I think our functionalities and our product works beautifully. And not only that, I'd like to also say that our the entire tech stack right now is and our product is on cloud. And we use a lot of Google functions, especially if you look at transportation industry. And our entire business revolves around how you can reach from one place to the other in the shortest time, and by deriving most efficiency as much as possible. So yeah, we use a lot of Google APIs to derive a lot of things. So that excites a lot of people when
Yeah.
you're using Google APIs.
So from here, the next questions comes to you is like, could you please explain more in detail what is this project about? Like
Mhm,
your project is listed on GitHub Externship, right?
mhm,
And the students, developers will start submitting their
mhm,
proposal. So
mhm.
before, I just wanted to understand what is this, especially this project all about, and 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 I mean, and what are the technologies, the bare minimum requirement you are envisaging they must need to know.
Mhm. So I think, Puneet, one of the most important and most exciting part about this project is, if you've known or if you've seen what you've created, in our repository, there is nothing but one document. So we're actually giving you like a green field to go ahead and create anything that you think, or use any open source that you think will really work for the requirement that we have specified. So students are open to pick up any open source areas, and we've also specified two particular areas. I'll go through all of those in detail, and then come up with a project which they could present to us. So just diving in a little deeper on the background, the problem statement, etc. So if you look at companies across the globe right now, the core business a lot of companies have is actually building a product or service and then shipping it, right? Primarily, let's talk about products right now. And when we're looking at that area, or that, keeping that into perspective, uh, delivering the product or transportation is generally outsourced to third parties, right? And that also gives in a way to a lot of CEP companies, like Jobin was mentioning, Courier Express Parcel, to come in and take the load of the companies who are actually manufacturing, helping them reach, helping their product reach to the end customer, right? Now, in given all of this, right, we're still looking at, even in the new age, we still see that road transportation is still the most used, transportation mode for distribution of of goods and products from one location to the other. And, logistic providers want to use, obviously because road transport is still, the highest used mode of transportation. We have logistic provider who come into picture, and they want to use their fleets, and their vehicles in the most efficient way. So whether a company is whether they're managing or their own transportation, or, if they're outsourcing, they want to make sure that the transportation costs are kept to the minimum as much as possible. Number one. Number two, the goods or the parcels receive the end customers on time, as much as possible, as soon as possible. And the third one is, whatever they're doing, they're optimizing their capacity, right? So even if they have single drivers who are actually going and picking the product and delivering it to the customers, or they have fleets, they have trucks who are taking products from one place to other. They want to make sure that while I have low cost, while I have the customer receiving the product as soon as possible, I also want to make sure that my fleet is optimally utilized, so that there is no sunk cost, and there is no opportunity cost for having to deploy that fleet in some other area, right? Taking that perspective, we still believe that in operations research literature, I think the vehicle routing problem is one of the most studied problems that we have, so far. So if any of the students can go and look up on Google VRP, right, they will see a lot of papers who have tried to optimize cost or minimize by actually reaching the objectives of minimizing the total cost, or maximizing the capacity utilization for the fleet, or minimizing the total distance traveled, right? You don't want your drivers to go from one place to the other, then come back to the warehouse, and then go from that place to the other. You want to make sure that they're optimizing their capacity, and then traveling as little as possible, so that it all bakes into efficiency and cost at the end of the day, right? So if you look at this problem that we have presented, it is like a classic optimization problem, where you have what is the objective, and then we are specifying constraints. So if you look at vehicle routing problem at whole, I think there is one area which which has been researched quite well, that is clustered vehicle routing problem. Now, in clustered vehicle routing problem, there is a use case where customers are divided into clusters based on geolocation. So one region becomes one cluster. So if you take, let's say, for example, in very simplistic example, let's say India is an entire region, all the states become one cluster, right? That is very hypothetical example, but just helping you understand how clusters really work. And then what happens is that in this use case, we have certain amount of fleet or certain amount of vehicles who are dedicatedly serving these clusters, and then using this as our use case, we're actually optimizing the entire last mile delivery, right? So this was like a very high level background. Okay, now when we're looking at this clustered VRP problem, I think this approach works very well where customers where the clusters have loads that are very, very balanced. But if there are certain clusters where there are let's say in Maharashtra there are 2 orders, and in Delhi there are 500 orders, right? And I have dedicated one fleet for Maharashtra and one fleet for Delhi, it really doesn't work, right? That's not how you would actually try to solve this problem. So what we want to do is we want to take this hypothesis into consideration, and then not have the system hard code or hard defined clusters. We want the systems to have the clusters flexible based on the load that we receive for every orders, and on the basis of that, the system should automatically define clusters. So this is another level of complexity that we're adding to the entire optimization problem. So if you look at VRP, you will have like a lot of ready-made codes already available. I just do a search on GitHub. I see like a lot of repositories already available on VRP problem. I see a lot of repositories already available on auto clustering, right? But what we're looking for is how we can combine these two and come up with a solution where we don't have such hard constraints that certain vehicles have to be always dedicated to certain clusters, and we have like a very flexible clustered approach. Now in that, like I said, if I have to like or set up key objective areas, we want to automatically create clusters based on load. And once that is done, we want to sort all the orders, based on every cluster. And when I say sorting, that means, I'm trying to classify that this order will go into this cluster, this order will go into this cluster. And the third one is, an output of every VRP, that is creation of trip and sequencing of orders. So if you look at any VRP solution, it will give you this as an end objective. You give them orders, you define your objective function, and you define your constraints. And on the basis of that, you will get trips. You'll have fleets associated with that trip, and you will have orders assigned to these trips. And then you'll have a sequence where we say that this is the order that has to be delivered first, this is the order that has to be delivered second, third, so on and so forth. So that is like a very, very quick background about the solution. And if you look at the repository and the document, we've clearly mentioned what are the requirements that we're looking for. So we're open to students using available repositories already on these two areas, and then build a solution over them, and then present it to us using certain assumptions that we've provided.
So just a question here. So basically we have to form a balanced clusters where each cluster has similar loads, is it?
Yes and no. There are multiple ways to actually solve this, Praveen, right? So one, you've already given out one way, right? You're doing load balancing of clusters. The other way to look at it is you actually don't load balance clusters, but you manage your fleet based on your, based on the load of the clusters. But yeah, you've understood the problem, Praveen, very well. Yeah.
Right. So that's what the complete detailed case studies given by Pooja, and it will really helpful for the students to come up with, or they can start changing some of the things from their proposal, what they have built so far. So that's why we have kept this AMA, because AMA is the thing wherein they can come up with their questions and they can ask directly, or
Yeah.
they can listen what the other person is asking. So Jubin, do you wanted to add something from the business perspective, how the time, effort, and cost can be saved as well through this during the last mile journey?
Sure. So there are multiple pieces to this, right? So one, or if you look at from like a company, so like from an enterprise, so the product that we have, it's basically we're only looking at very large enterprises. So even a very small change in terms of cutting down, bringing in efficiency in routes impact. So we've seen like up to 15 to 20% savings in terms of either fuel or costs, even time. So there are several case studies. So if anyone's interested, you can go to the Loginx website, and we have several currently India-related case studies. So that will give you a detailed, insight into how these savings have been brought about. And apart from that, there's also this entire piece of like how the customer behavior is changing. Like especially from the last year when everyone, like we've all been at just homes, and e-commerce, it has been said, like it's all like almost accelerated by 7 to 10 years in terms of the number of people ordering online, number of shipments being shipped. So the entire customer experience piece is also a part of the Loginex product, where we have an entire module where brands can kind of have like exact ETAs which the software calculates, communicated to the end customer. Because still even if you look at some postal networks, and in a lot of cases you'd see that your order is arriving on so and so day, and that's all. but that is changing rapidly, and a lot of people, most of us actually, like go to the tracking link at least 2 through 3 times before it has, the product has reached our doorstep. So this entire piece of customer experience also is built into the product, and how and this is like not a tech savvy ones, but if you look at, say, a DMart or a Big Bazaar, uh, these guys are very good at the retail business, but when they look at the tech, that's where it's kind of missing. So Loginex plays this role of infusing tech into companies which are looking forward. And like Walmart is a big case study in the US, how Amazon still of course remains number one, but Walmart is quickly has used technology to kind of grab a bit of a market share from Amazon's pie also. So along with the savings, the customer experience piece is also an equally important piece, which is been the trend that we are seeing.
Right. So just another question is in the chat. We all know that we have some package in Python for vehicle routing problem. Can we use that packages for doing this project? Pooja?
Absolutely,
Over to you.
yes. Absolutely, yes. So, be creative, use whatever is available, and come up with a solution. The way we've actually structured, or if you look at the expectation of this entire, project for us, is that we want to evaluate how you can creatively solve problems using the resources that are already available, right? We don't want to reinvent the wheel all over again. If something is already available, let us use that and add value to whatever is available. And that's what GitHub is also all about, right? And and all open source projects. So that's something that you should be able to use. What I would say on top of that is that while you're using any repository or any package that is already available, I want we want you to make it very clear that what the package does, and then how have you modified or enhanced it to reach to the solution that we are discussing. So that is one thing that we would be expecting as part of the project output.
So just a question that came to my mind. So as far as my understanding like a companies, so many companies are into the market, they are not even solving the last mile delivery problem, but the post office of India, they are into the pin and the various pin codes that might not served by the other players. So do you think the technology Loginix is working into the same direction, because that's a gap can be fulfilled by you guys using the technology?
So I think there are two parts to it, right? When we talk about technology, we are only trying to optimize whatever deliveries can happen by fleet right now. If there are certain things that are not possible, to be delivered due to reach constraint, that is something that I don't think we're even yet there. The industry over there is not there to solve those problems. So yeah, based on whatever can be delivered is what we are actually trying to optimize.
Okay, so optimizing the entire chain is the
Yes.
first priority of the
Yeah,
Loginx.
Puni. So like basically we are a SaaS product, like we don't have any fleets on the ground, or we don't do deliveries ourselves. So anyone who is into the business of logistics, we can help them digitize and optimize the entire process. So like we work with Singapore Post, which is like leaps and bounds, like maybe 20 years ahead of where India Post is. India Post is still reliable in some senses, but the kind of automation and digitization that's possible to do with a Singapore Post, that's not possible right now with India Post. So we are basically technology providers for anyone who wants to kind of infuse tech and improve their operations.
Okay. So there is a question from Dars, like is a three questions altogether. So each cluster should have same number of orders, which is equal to the load capacity of vehicle. Adding
Not
to that,
necessarily. Yeah, I'll just take one by one. Not necessarily, because some clusters will be large and you'll have more vehicles. So not necessarily every cluster has to have same order. So look at assume you are like a courier company, right? And you are doing you are performing the business of delivering parcels from your customers to their end customers. Now look at that as like a real life example, and then take assumptions. You will never be able to form clusters which will have fixed number of orders. You will not have a fixed number of orders in a day. You will never have a fixed number of orders given at that point in time. The only thing that you can potentially assume is you have a fixed fleet, right? That you have 10 either trucks or 10 trucks, 15 drivers, etc. You can make certain assumptions. So look at the real life case scenario, and then a lot of your questions will be answered. But yeah, not necessarily that every cluster will have equal number of orders, and not necessarily. I'm looking at the next question where Darsha specified that whether vehicle needs to be completely filled. Yes, that is the ideal scenario, that the vehicle needs to be completely filled, but you may not end up utilizing your fleet capacity every point in time. So the whole objective over here is to maximize the fleet utilization. You may not be able to do it 100% every given point in time, but to reach 100% is the objective and the aim. If you're able to reach to the 100% fleet capacity by minimizing the cost and by minimizing the distance travel, then that's the optimum solution for the problem. So the third one is very, very interesting, Puneet and Darsh. This is very interesting. You can go as granular as you want, and just to make sure that we don't go into the rabbit hole of actually trying to build something very, very complex. I've given certain assumptions already. You will have 5,000 orders, 100 fleet, etc. So look at that and try to solve it. Go to an extent where your intellectual capacity takes you. Don't try to think about an ideal scenario and not start till I'm able to reach there. That's what I've always seen very aggressive, energetic students do. They don't start thinking that they will never be able to achieve the highest end goal. I say that let the creativity flow in, and optimization is something that you'll never be able to achieve. Whatever is optimized can be always further optimized. Always remember that, right? With that, keeping that in mind, I think you should go to whatever level possible where you think is the right solution for the problem. And what we're judging over here, Puneet, this is very important to mention, not only to Dash, to everybody, is there are a couple of things, right? How you're actually able to, creatively think of solution, and how you're able to present it. That is the most important thing. So thinking process is more important. If you have the right thought process, I think anybody can write a code. If you have a great idea, how you need to really write a code, I think anybody can code. But the whole point is, how do you actually come up to that thought process? So make sure that whenever you're doing the project proposal, your thought process is very, very clear, and you're articulating that very well.
So what are the things like ideal proposals looks like to you? So like if you are suppose you are into the place of the students, how do you suggest, what are the tips and tricks you just wanted to give to the students? Like you need to create a proposal of 15 page or 20 page, or you just need to be precise with 2-3 pages, but you should write the problems, these are the solution, how uniquely you're placing the solution, and what are the technologies that I'm using to solve this. And the fifth one is, like these are the 3 months timeline as per me, and this is what I'll deliver at the end of this externship thing. So as per you, Pooja.
So Puneet, like I said, right, our whole objective over here is to look at how they're able to look at the problem, evaluate the problem, and come up with creative solution. So at least we at Loginex, we don't think that number of pages can define how much your thought process is. If you're able to completely deliver the entire solution in a couple of pages, fine. If you want to do it, you don't want any document, you just want to show up like a screen which says here are the 5,000 orders, click, here is my output. that also works. So I just want to keep it completely open. The reason why we're not really defining that how an ideal solution looks like is that will limit the thought process, right? And I've always seen that the moment you start putting all of these, this is my requirement, this is my requirement, you'll start limiting thought process of students, and that is something that we don't want to do at all. We want to see their creative side, and that's why we want to keep this completely open. And we will evaluate 50-page proposals. We will evaluate 5-page proposals also. So number of pages does not matter. And if you have a working product or a working prototype, sure, that'll be the first thing that I will evaluate.
Okay, so that's on the cherry on ice. So the next question, and just wanted to add to this, like, is there any job opportunity if I'm a person who is doing a 3 months externship and I'm doing good? So do you think I'm eligible for the job to work together under your guidance?
Yes, absolutely. That's something that we're always we're a very young company. Let me just put it like that, right? We're always open to young and bright minds. So if your proposal is good enough, we will look at an internship opportunity, and that could be like a fixed time internship opportunity. And if you're able to perform well in the internship, then we could potentially give you a job offer. Jimmy, you want to add anything over here?
Yeah, so like in general also, so externship is Pooja's domain per se, but in general, like Loginex is rapidly hiring right now across domains. So in the last 1 year, kind of, we've grown like almost 50 to 60%. So even if you just go to, there are lots of job openings. If you want to see, we are on Recruiter Box. So if you just do Recruiter Box Loginext, you'll see there are some 65 openings right now, and almost I think 40 of them would be in the tech domain. So and maybe the average age of the team or the company would also be, I think, at 30 max. So it's a very young team. We are rapidly hiring and growing. So you can definitely look forward to an offer if you kind of do well.
So, Juban, I thought our average age is like lesser than 30.
Yeah, maybe lesser. I was just trying to.
It's a way lesser.
Yeah, maybe.
You can look at Juban and my face and then decide, right? Yeah, just like
will be the older side.
Yeah, exactly. I am definitely on the older side, in the company. So you can gauge on the basis of that.
Yeah. So it's a great opportunity for the students to work under your guidance, as you said that like your company is like a very young in age and they're performing well. So that's all. And just to add, then the last final question from my side: is there any final words that you wanted to say and conclude the session, wherein you can mention about the tips and tricks to the students, or anything that you wanted to add?
So I would just like to say one thing that whenever you're looking at an optimization problem, right? I've worked on many optimization problems myself in the past 5 years of my career. You will want to reach an ideal situation or an ideal end output, right? End goal. You will never be able to reach at that end goal in your first attempt. This is not a simple problem. This is, like I said, a greenfield opportunity. A lot of things are available. You can use it and smartly create your own packages over what things are available, but never keep an ideal situation as your end goal. That's, if you reach there, that's beautiful, but if you don't do trial and error, you will never be able to get to anywhere when you're trying to solve optimization. So try to do multiple runs, see if your solution is working, take multiple scenarios, take scenarios outside the constraint that I've mentioned in in the documents, and then arrive at a solution. Even if you think you are 50% sure of the solution that you've provided, I'm telling you that will still be good enough, right? The reason being because like I said, even today, in operations research literature, VRP is the widely research topic. So if there are scientists and mathematicians still researching about it, you can understand how complex it is and how exciting at the same time it is as well, right? So don't try to beat yourself up, and just make sure that you're presenting us how you think, how creatively you think about the solution. And I think that should be good.
Yeah, and maybe just a word of encouragement from my side, as in, like, I'm sure these are like troubling times for a lot of us. So we'll be going through some situations personally, and so just just hang in there, keep at it, and you're like just showing up for this, and putting in the effort is a big thing. So I'm sure there are a lot of good things awaiting all of you out there. So we wish you all the very best, and hoping to see you sometime in the future.
That's great. Thank you so much, Joven, and thank you so much, Pooja, for being a guest for us on today.
All
So
right, thank you so much, Puneet.
Thank you
thank
for
you,
having us, Puneet.
thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All the best.
Thank you. So this were Pooja and Jubin from Loginex Solutions. And if you have any queries regarding to the proposal, you can directly reach out to them on our Slack channel at any time. They will be happy to answer all your queries. You just need to drop your questions on the Slack. So adding to that, like we have extended the deadlines of proposal submission to the 38th of May, and till then you can ask so as many as questions to the any of our organization spokesperson. And apart from that, if you have any queries related to anything, you can just ping us on this Slack channel. We'll be happy to answer. So this was Puneet. Thank you for joining us.